guys, it's Kevin again, and in this video we're reviewing to the Tomorrow People Season 1, Episode 6. This episode, what was this episode called? Sorry for Your Loss. That was the title of this episode. And that was a great title because we had two deaths in this episode. Not just one, but two. There were two deaths, and it was a pretty big episode. And definitely what I love is that we are getting more of this, backstory with all the characters, and that's one of the things I think this show does best, is giving us really cool backstories that really make us feel for these characters. I mean, Russell wasn't even a character that I cared about. I didn't care one thing about Russell. After this episode, though, I really care about Russell, just like how I didn't really care about John before his episode. Now I really care about John. Didn't care about Cara. Now I really care about Cara. I like the way they're doing this. They're really doing a great job of doing that, and I can't wait to see who's next to do that. But there's also another big plot in this episode, and definitely something big that happens towards the end. So we're just going to get to that. But the main plot, let's first talk about Russell. Russell is basically trying to get over his father's death and everything, and it's kind of hard for him. And he's talking to John, and he starts to kind of reflect on the whole thing with his father, basically. Russell was part of this, he was a real, basically what happened was that he was this former piano prodigy, and he lived under the thumb of his father, who was also slipping out due to a little illegal gambling aided by his growing special powers. And we catch all this in flashback before, and we saw that, he had some really big problems where people attacked him and everything, and, they thought he was, just crazy and everything. And I really like this whole thing. And it just really made us care for him. It really did. And I thought that was fantastic the way they did that. And he gets the news of his father's death, and he decides to go to Oregon for the funeral. Before, he wasn't really doing anything about it. He was just basically just playing pool and everything. But John tells him, you gotta go to this funeral. You gotta go to Let Go and everything. And we really start to see him come out about his father and everything. We really start to see that, and I think that's fantastic the way that's all going on, and I think that's just really, really great, and I absolutely love that part of the episode. He's by his father's grave. We see him performing a song on the piano, and his father's really proud of him. So you saw that even though his father had a problem, he did really care about him, but he wasn't really able to spend time with his father because at this time when he started to do very well in the piano classes, this is when he started to develop powers. And when his father clapped and they flashed away. So that's all we really know right now, but I have a feeling they're going to continue flashbacks. So we're as many flashbacks as I thought there were going to be, but we know enough that we know basically what the basic story is, and I really care about Russell now, even though I didn't care about him now. I think he had a really great story, and I can't wait to see where this is going to go, because there's got to be more to this. I can't just end with us seeing him just flash away. What happened after this, we don't know. What caused his father's death, we don't know. Probably his gambling problem, but we're going to have to see. But, yeah, so that was Russell's plot. Now, the other plot in this episode, the big plot in this episode, one of the things that was really great is that, they're still trying to get over everything that happened last week in last week's episode and everything. And we see that John and Cara, they are not at good terms at all. Like, John's trying to talk to Cara. Cara wants nothing to do with him. If anything, she wants to be with Steven. She cares about Steven a lot more than she does about John. And I thought that was pretty cool the way that turns out. So they see this girl, though. There's this girl, Piper. Now, Piper is this girl who, let me just look at that. Hang on one second, guys. So Piper is this, she's this pool hustler. She's struggling to make it in New York, and she's looking for her long-lost older sister. And so the Tomorrow People decide to catch up with her and attempt to keep her safe from Ultra. But it turns out that her elder sister is actually Darcy, who is the agent who works closest with Steven. And It seems like everything's going to go okay. I mean, they really haven't met, but Steven decided decides, you know what, let's get these two together. Let's try to reunite them together. Let's try to bring them closer. Cara doesn't really think this is a great idea, but he thinks it is a great idea because it'll reunite the two of them. And I thought that would work out, but it ends up not working out at all because while this is happening, there's this shootout that begins, and Darcy is shot to death. So Darcy is now dead too. You have Russell's father dead, and now Darcy is dead. So this is a pretty big thing that's going to be happening now on the show because, you know, we see that, it's pretty big, and basically Piper kind of, she ran away, we don't know where she is, but the hunt for her kind of brought, Stephen and Cara a lot closer. We found out that they did go on a date in this episode, and they like made out and everything. And we see in the closing scenes of the episode, this was a very important scene in my opinion. I thought it was a really great scene. The way they did this, I really loved it. So you see that Stephen and Cara are at this they're together, and Cara says, I've been thinking about you a lot, and she said, I've been thinking about you a lot too. They kiss, and Cara says, let's go somewhere a little more private. They flash out, and they basically go to have sex. So, Cara and Stephen have had sex, but Cara and John are possibly still together. I don't think they are, but they could be. But I don't know. But this is a pretty big plot point because now, here's the whole thing. I heard they're not gonna really bring this up till a few episodes later, but eventually Astrid is gonna find out about this, and there's gonna be a whole bunch of stuff. There are no Astrid in this episode, which honestly wasn't a big thing to me because Astrid's not one of my favorite characters. I liked her in the last episode, but I still don't love her character. But I definitely like where they're going with this show. I think it's really cool the way it just ended with the two of them kissing, and also the whole thing with Russell. John kind of is stepping out of the picture in this episode. Russell doesn't really need John anymore. If you remember John's whole plotline with Russell, I mean, Russell doesn't really need John, and it's kind of sad that he doesn't really need John, and he's just trying to reflect over his father's death. So, I really enjoyed that whole thing, though, and let me know what you guys saw of this episode. The only other thing that I do want to say is, as far as John and Cara go, it's definitely going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen to them now that this particular event has happened. I'm assuming that Cara's just going to end it with John and not going to tell him the real reason why. Because we clearly see that he wants to talk to her, but she's just so upset about him still being a killer. And, the other thing I like about the show is they always continue the storyline. It's not like they're just going to abandon everything that happened in the last episode and then go back to the regular formula. No, this episode was definitely not that at all. If anything, it was more development in characters, and I really enjoyed this. So let me know what you guys saw this episode. What do you think of Russell's storyline? Do you think there's going to be more of that? I just feel like they should continue more of it. There wasn't enough of it. This was not the best episode of the season, but it was a really good episode. It wasn't as good as last week's, but it was still a really great episode. I still think the best episode of the show, though, is still Cara's episode, the origin story of Cara. I still think that's the best episode, but this episode was also really, really great, and I've just been loving these backstory episodes. So that's basically it for my review. I hope you enjoyed it. And also, what's going to happen with Cara and John? Do you think she's going to break up with him? I definitely think they're going to break up now. That's it for my review. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay. Bye.